In programming languages, name binding is the association of entities with identifiers. An identifier bound to an object is said to reference that object. Machine languages have no built-in notion of identifiers, but name-object bindings as a service and notation for the programmer is implemented by programming languages. Binding is intimately connected with scoping, as scope determines which names bind to which objects, at which locations in the program code and in which one of the possible execution paths. Use of an identifier id in a context that establishes a binding for id is called a binding occurrence. In all other occurrences, an identifier stands for what it is bound to. Such occurrences are called applied occurrences. Binding time. The binding of names before the program is run is called static. Bindings performed as the program runs are dynamic. An example of a static binding is a direct C function call. The function referenced by the identifier cannot change at runtime. But an example of dynamic binding is dynamic dispatch, as in a C++ virtual method call. Since the specific type of a polymorphic object is not known before runtime, the executed function is dynamically bound. Take, for example, the following Java code. Public void foo list.add. List is an interface, so list must refer to a subtype of it. Is it a reference to a linked list, an array list, or some other subtype of list? The actual method referenced by add is not known until runtime. In a language like C, the actual function is known. Rebinding and mutation. Rebinding should not be confused with mutation. Rebinding is a change to the referencing identifier. Mutation is a change to the referenced value. Consider the following Java code. Linked list less than string greater than list. List equals new linked list less than string greater than. List equals null. The identifier list initially references nothing. It is then rebound to reference an object. The linked list referenced by list is then mutated, adding a string to the list. Lastly, list is rebound to null. Late static. Late static binding is a variant of binding somewhere between static and dynamic binding. Consider the following PHP example. Class A, static $word equals hello, static function hello. In this example, the PHP interpreter binds the function hello produces the string hello. If the semantics of self $word had been based on late static binding, then the result would have been by. Beginning with PHP version 5.3, late static binding is supported.